All right, our designers are back. Great job. Judges, what say you?
Oh, listen, the job was hard, but listen, both of you all are going to leave here winners. You're spectacular, but we only could choose one. And Therese Fleetwood is going to tell you that
It was very challenging, but we went with Ahmad. And the reason we went with Ahmad is because of the production aspect of it. You're set up for production, you're set up for scalability, you're set up to ship around the world. And not to say you aren't, but I like to see that you're on that track and ready to go.
But again, you're both leaving here winners. So guess what, y'all? We have a surprise for y'all. Therese, what is your prize?
Oh, well, you both get free consultation. Well, let's see, you both get free consultation. How about that? And helping you navigate the whole production and manufacturing aspect of your companies and keeping you on track with your stories.
And especially with you, getting you to the point where you're on more of a production track and taking you to the next level.
And guess what? I got a prize for y'all too. So listen, the other side of my brain is I own Consulting, my consultancy firm, and it's all about scalability. So I'm giving the winner 1 hour. I'm giving the winner up and winner 30 minutes, but something is telling me it's going to be expanded, but let's work with that for now. Quick question. Do y'all have high-res images of your work?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Hallelujah. Praise God.
Good.
Fashion editor talking now. So here we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Stay tuned on that.
Stay ready so you don't have to what?
Get ready. Exactly.
What a wonderful lesson. What did you learn, just quickly, one point for each of you?
I learned that just make sure you stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And just make sure you're able to scale. That's what the big companies want to be able to see. Make sure you're able to be able to scale, scalability.
Yes, indeed. Andrea, for you, something that you heard today that you had not thought about before?
Just how to transform this type of industry that I'm in as far as exclusivity into something that can be scalable. And that when you are moving and how you're supposed to be moving, that you will end up right where you're supposed to be. So.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm putting in the order for a jacket.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
From both.
From both. I love it. I love when these connections. God, I thank you. This is beautiful. Thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you for being bold enough to just put it all out there and see what happens next. Congratulations. I'm so grateful for this connection. Thank you. We'll be right back. absolutely love these pitching on Porsche episodes. I always learn so much, and I hope you do too. Now listen, if you've got a story you want to pitch for the show, just send it to us. Email us at PorscheShow@Fox.com. Be sure to include your backstory, your pictures, videos, and your phone number, and just let us know what our viewers can learn from your life experience. We cannot wait to hear from you. And listen, when I see this again, be sure to watch tonight on Fox Soul. And thank you for being the reason why someone smiles today.
Well, welcome in. I'm Arielle Onstout. We've got a lot of news to get to. As you can see live in the bottom right of your screen, the Senate floor, and we know that the government shutdown is nearing its first full month. We're going to get to more on how the SNAP benefits are set to expire on Saturday, what local organizations and leaders right here at home are doing to try to mitigate these effects. And up top, you can see the effects from Hurricane Melissa. And I want to get an update as to where Hurricane Melissa is right now. So we have video, as you can see, the devastation in the Caribbean. Hurricane Melissa continues to pummel the islands after making historic landfall in Jamaica. We know many of you here in Atlanta are still trying to reach family in Jamaica and are still concerned as to their well-being. President Trump says the United States is sending resources to help the island recover, but the damage assessment in Jamaica is just beginning. It made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane, becoming the strongest to hit the island on record. Now, leaders there say the storm caused extensive damage to hospitals and homes. Some communities are still underwater, and more than 500,000 people are left without power in Jamaica. Thousands of tourists are stranded after their flights were canceled. And hours after devastating Jamaica, Melissa made its second landfall, this time in Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane. Even though it's weakened, the storm is still stirring up life-threatening storm surge, damaging winds, and flash flooding. We know it's now making its way to the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, and then it'll arrive in Bermuda. President Trump says the United States is going to help out however it can. The State Department deploying a disaster response team, as well as search and rescue crews to help with recovery efforts. Melissa is expected to maintain its hurricane strength when it barrels towards Bermuda on Thursday. So we're going to keep you updated on this. In just a little bit, we're going to speak with an expert at Georgia Tech about how hurricanes are measured and what this means in terms of making sure people get life-saving information. In the meantime, I want to keep you updated on a story here closer to home. Over in Paulding County, a cold case unit is digging deeper to find multiple killers. Now, it's part of a new effort unfolding in this fast-growing county. Our Kevin Stewart actually got to go behind the scenes and check out a case that this new cold case unit is working on. And he joins us now live from Dallas at the Sheriff's Office. So, Kevin, it is great to see you. What have you learned from going behind the scenes today?
Yeah, it's an interesting story here. Since January, they've set up this unit, a cold case unit, with several full-time staffers. This is the only thing they do. It's not like, this is a unit that they weren't looking into cases before, but they've really beefed this thing up. 4 full-time units, members of this unit, some with background with the FBI, a couple people retired from that law enforcement agency, former homicide detective of more than 30 years experience with the Cobb County Police Department. And what they do is they're looking at, right now, 5 particular cases that have been unsolved, one dating back to 1989. The one that we focused on today is a man named Reagan Wheeler. He was killed 20 years ago this month, October 13th. We understand that this happened here in the Dallas area. He was at his home, came back, was on his way to work, I believe, came up his driveway, went into the home. The door was open. He went inside. Ran into someone who apparently was robbing the place. They got into some type of confrontation. He was shot several times. His body was found in the driveway by the car. In fact, the original call came out about someone being trapped underneath the car, but it turns out he was shot and his body was laying right by the car. I had a chance to talk to the family and had a chance to talk to folks here at the Sheriff's Office about the importance of this unit and this particular case. Take a listen.
But when your job is that you're assigned to this person that was murdered, there is no end. One of the detectives that's working on Mr. Wheeler's case is still employed here and was there that day. And he says all the time, you know, my time here is short. You know, I've been here for over 30 years, but this is one of the cases that I would like to see put to bed before I hang it up. He's like, you shave your face in the morning time and you think about what the hell happened. You lay down in bed at nighttime and think, what the hell happened? You know, who did this? So that is the driving force, because a lot of the detectives and the analysts, they put themselves in the victim's shoes. You know, the holidays are coming up. You know, one of the detectives, he's like, you know, every Christmas since that specific murder, I've watched my kids open Christmas gifts and thought about, you know, his kids won't get that anymore because somebody selfishly took his life.
There's somebody out there that knows what took place. There's someone out there has had a conversation with the person that did this. They know that there's a family that 20 years has gone by with still no answers. And not that a day goes by that we don't think about it and hope and continue to hope that it'll get solved at some point in the future.
All right, yeah, this is a really interesting unit here. Again, you have some folks who are veterans of the Paulding County Sheriff's Office and some new hires, as I said, since this unit has started up since January. A lot of experienced people there, Cobb County Police, 30-year homicide veteran, and a couple of folks who retired from the FBI, and they're really digging into these cases. One of the big things here, obviously, is that a lot of technology, a lot of new technology that makes these cases easier to almost, in a sense, go back in time and try to track all this stuff down. Ariel?
Kevin, it's absolutely wonderful to hear this because, as you've said, you know, time is the currency that when you look at these cold cases, I'm sure so many detectives who are working them wish they could just go back in time, maybe speak to some of the witnesses or people who were involved. Maybe there was something that was missed. And so when you don't have time and you can't go back, technology and these extra resources can help fill that gap. As you talk to this family, it seems that they're obviously hopeful as to what this unit can bring. Do you feel like the department overall is re-examining some of these cases and with this new workload going to be able to re-examine a lot more than what they were able to do before? I know you said that they've dedicated people and it's always been an effort, but now they're just beefing it up.
Right, yeah, there's no doubt about that. This is something that they've been working on. The new sheriff, Ashley Henson, who used to be the public information officer here for the Paulding County Sheriff's Office, rededicated this effort. He's been trying to reach out and trying some new things, and this is definitely one of those things. The family said they are grateful that they have not been forgotten. Just finished talking to the son probably in the last 40 minutes or so, and we'll have a full report coming up on Fox 5 News at 5. But this is a really challenging case. You know, they aren't giving up. They think about it every day, and it's great to know that law enforcement is not, because as you know, if it's not personal to you, sometimes it's easy to forget. But as we talked to the public information officer, he said, we've got a guy on this unit who was on that case many years ago. In fact, I understand the sheriff currently right now, Ashley Henson, was actually one of the first deputies on the scene in this case 20 years ago.
That's incredible, Kevin. Wow. Wonderful that they are able to be a part of the investigation and, lend their expertise, experience, and maybe memories from all that time so many years ago. Final question for you, just as we move forward, is there any one big thing that you would say could move the needle here? Is it the new technology? Is it the increased personnel? What's the big thing about this new cold case unit that they think will help the most when it comes to finding these killers?
I think it's the manpower, having someone focused on it and being able to use the technology, the new tools to make this work, because obviously they're not giving up, and using the media again as a conduit to get this story out and to kind of refresh people's memories, because they are confident that not only will you be able to use new technology, but trigger people's memories about what happened, because as you know, sometimes as things go on, time goes on, people may forget certain things, but also people talk. And people get comfortable. So they're hoping that will allow someone to speak and potentially crack this case, as well as the 4 other cases that this cold case unit is working on. Ariel?
Kevin, thank you so much for your time sharing this story with us. Absolutely hope they're able to find justice for those families. So thank you. Okay, guys, moving on. I want to take you out live to the federal courthouse here in Atlanta, where we know that in just about 30 minutes or so, or actually less than 30 minutes, Billy Joe Cagle is going to face a detention hearing. Now, Billy Joe Cagle is the man accused of threatening a mass shooting at the Atlanta airport. His mental health instability and access to firearms are expected to drive this decision. So the big question here is whether he should remain in jail while his case moves forward. The big thing that we're looking at in this is what that judge is going to decide. Will he be released or will he have to stay in jail while his case progresses? And it's going to test how federal courts weigh public safety against treatment options rather than guilt. So, for example, one trial attorney was telling us that this could hinge on Billy Joe Cagle's mental health concerns more than the evidence that the government has itself. So we'll continue to keep you updated on this story. Our Angelique Proctor is following the latest from the Fulton County Courthouse, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Again, you're taking a live look there. I do want to keep you updated on another trial that we are following in Coweta County. This one involving the murder and disappearance of a Coweta County mother, Tiffany Foster. As you know, our Doug Evans has been on this story from the beginning, and we've just learned from Doug that both sides have rested today, and that tomorrow we are expecting closing arguments to begin in this trial. So let's listen in. Doug was able to recap what happened today. Let's hear what he has to say.
Ariel, another rainy day here in Coweta County, but a busy day for the prosecution as it rested its case here in Coweta County Superior Court. But not before bringing in a rusty wood chipper into the courtroom that the lead investigator in the case told jurors was found on property in Troup County that belonged to Reginald Robertson's grandmother. Robertson is charged with murder, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and financial fraud, among other crimes, in the disappearance of his fiancée Tiffany Foster in 2021. Co-defendant Jeremy Walker is charged with concealing her death. Back to that wood chipper. Investigators say they found it burned and discarded on property owned by Robertson's family near West Point Lake. Previously, investigators had testified that cadaver dogs had detected the odor of human remains in the chipper and in the soil around it. Lead investigator Stacey Beckham told jurors on the day Tiffany Foster disappeared, Jeremy Walker called 3 different LaGrange equipment rental companies inquiring about a wood chipper. And there was also a Google search for equipment rental places near me that was done on Tiffany Foster's phone on March 1st. Again, that's the day that she disappeared. Defense lawyers have said that Robertson was looking to clear some bushes at his grandmother's house. Beckham said he was not aware that any landscaping had ever been done there. Beckham also testified to a handwritten affidavit supposedly penned by Robertson himself with instructions to an uncle to provide an alibi for him in exchange for $1,000. That was for the November 13th, 2020 incident in which Robertson is accused of kidnapping Tiffany, taking her to an abandoned home in Coweta County, and firing a gun. The uncle was to say that he saw Robertson and Tiffany together somewhere else. Closing arguments in the case could take place tomorrow. Back to you.
Thank you, Doug. Well, we want to continue to keep you updated as to what is happening with the government shutdown. So we're going to get out now to some live pictures as the Senate continues to vote. One thing to keep in mind, we're nearing a full month of this government shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance met with Senate Republicans on Capitol Hill Tuesday, saying U.S. troops will get paid this week. But Democrats think that Vance is the wrong guy meeting with the wrong party. They say they want to speak with President Trump. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the president already met with top Democratic leaders before the shutdown. Both sides are not willing to deviate from their positions. Meanwhile, Americans are facing financial hardships that are expected to increase. Air traffic controllers and TSA agents have not been paid. Staffing shortages are causing massive security lines, TSA lines at airports across the country. And the concern is these staffing shortages could dip so low that airports can't safely operate the same level of air traffic, causing delays and cancellations. Now SNAP benefits are set to run out on Saturday. 25 states are suing the Trump administration to compel the release of emergency food aid, which expires Tuesday. And I want to get you an update on what to expect about SNAP benefits and what to know there, because here at home, Georgia Democrats are urging Governor Kemp to issue a state of emergency in response to SNAP benefits running out. You can see video here from a news conference they held earlier this morning. The governor has said there is nothing he can do. Democrats say they want to find a solution. They're pointing to Georgia's robust state surplus of more than $14 billion that they say could help fund the SNAP program on the state level until the federal government is funded. According to the Department of Human Services, in Georgia last year, the average SNAP benefit was about $193 per month per household. That amounts to just over $6 per person per day. A majority of households who use SNAP have children, and 45% of households who use SNAP have a person in the household with a disability. Here in Fulton County, roughly 140,000 people rely on SNAP benefits. That is 1 in 6 households in Georgia's largest county. So, Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts held a news conference earlier today addressing this dire need, saying that families here in Georgia are going to go hungry, and he outlined some of the action he wants to take right here in Fulton County. Let's listen.
I'm asking our county manager and his staff to take immediate emergency action to prepare for this upcoming crisis, should it happen. And will ask my colleagues on the board to ratify any such actions that come forward from the manager. And I'm specifically asking for the following in these amounts. I've taken some time to go through what we have, what we offer our citizens. Number one, for our senior support, about $150,000. These are programs that we currently have, like our winter farmers market program, our nutritional assistance program, and our home delivered meals program. $150,000 for that group. Secondly, you're probably aware of our Fulton Fresh program that we go around the county providing fresh fruits and vegetables to our seniors in particular, well received. Another amount for that group as well. And lastly, we have 9 firms, organizations, nonprofits that we fund on an annual basis. And I'm asking for an additional $500,000 for those 9 organizations whose primary goal is to provide food like Hosea Feeds the Hungry as probably the most famous of that group. There's 9 of them though, an additional $500,000 for those 9 organizations. And these are organizations that are currently receiving funding through our community service program grants. Again, this totals about $1 million in immediate emergency assistance, and that amount should carry us through November should the SNAP funds disappear come Friday. Now, lastly, if the shutdown continues into next month, meaning, then I will be personally talking with the governor, asking him to make resources, state resources available from the surplus that they have for our citizens in need. Now, I am aware that there are 159 counties in Georgia, and what he does for one, he may be inclined to do for others. But this is Fulton County, the largest county in the state of Georgia. And so I will be personally talking with him, asking him for his support in providing some relief for those 1 in 6 households in Fulton County who will have no place to turn but to Fulton County come Friday if the boys and girls in Washington do not get their acts together. Even Ray Charles can see the impact that this is going to have on the residents of Fulton County.
I do want to let you guys know a little bit about where you can find resources. You're taking a look at an article on our website, fox5atlanta.com, where you can get free food here in our city. If you are in need, there are food drives, organizations stepping up to help. DoorDash has created a crisis program, as well as other organizations within our community. And I just saw right before we came on here at 2 o'clock, an organization that was calling on restaurants here in Atlanta to step up and donate their surplus food to these organizations. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on that. In the meantime, Congress is able to agree on some things, right? So there's one thing lawmakers agree on, and that is AI companies need to do more to protect minors. A bipartisan group of lawmakers is introducing legislation targeting AI chatbots, and they're announcing new Senate legislation that would ban AI chatbots for minors. This is from Josh Hawley, a Republican senator, and Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal. It comes after complaints from parents who say this technology is pushing their children to harm themselves. The bipartisan bill requires AI companies to implement an age verification technology and mandates chatbots disclose their non-human status. Now, it also creates criminal penalties for tech companies who develop chatbots that solicit sexually explicit conduct from minors or encourage suicide. Multiple bills regulating AI are circulating through Congress, but so far no comprehensive action has been enacted at the federal level. Instead, several states have passed their own measures. New legislation is likely to face pushback from privacy advocates who say that age verification mandates are invasive and prevent free speech online. So we'll keep you updated there. I do also want to keep you updated on an ongoing situation that is happening within ICE. President Trump, or rather the Trump administration, is going to overhaul ICE leadership in 8 cities. And this is according to sources who are talking to Fox News. New data shows the Department of Homeland Security has deported more than 500,000 people from the United States since President Trump took office. And despite these record-breaking numbers, the administration is reportedly unhappy with the pace of deportations, demanding DHS ramp up its efforts, even if it means changing leadership at the top. And I want to get to the context of all this because Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino testified at a Chicago federal courthouse on Tuesday, and inside he defended the actions of his agents and around the city because video appeared to show them violate a temporary restraining order against the use of tear gas during arrests. He told Fox News last week he is confident Border Patrol is going to be vindicated, but this is important because multiple DHS sources tell Fox News that these ICE chiefs are going to be let go and replaced by Border Patrol officials, some handpicked by Gregory Bovino. The change would be significant because ICE typically conducts targeted enforcement on migrants with criminal backgrounds. Border Patrol, however, carries out roving patrols, arresting anyone they suspect to be in the United States illegally. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on this story as it progresses. In the meantime, coming up here, I want to get a check of your weather forecast, and I also want to get an update as to some other stories that we're following here in our newsroom. The big focus will be on the Caribbean as Jamaica and other islands recover from Melissa's aftermath. We're going to discuss that coming up. Welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstadt here with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. It is a pleasure to see you guys here on our Wednesday afternoon. I can't keep up, Lauren.
It's hard to keep track, especially on gloomy days like this.
Yes, indeed. It definitely feels like fall, and I know that we're tracking some rain here this week in our area.
Yeah, we're seeing some rain out there right now, and this is all due to that low pressure system. You can see it spinning right over Memphis. So the tail that's kind of wagging along in that circular path, the end portion of that tail, well, that's hitting North Georgia. That's why we're getting so much rain up here to the north, but southern portions of the state are remaining pretty dry. Now, as we zoom into North Georgia here, this is where we're looking at those heavier rain showers moving out of metro Atlanta into areas like Gainesville, Athens, heading its way toward Toccoa and into western portions of the Carolinas. So we're just going to continue to monitor these on and off rain showers, because while that heavier piece has moved out of metro Atlanta, we're not done quite yet. We're going to see this rain lingering for the most part through around the rush hour time periods. And then as we go into late night tonight, that's when we're finally going to start to see some clearing. Now, as we take a look at what we'll be dealing with temperatures, of course, it's cold out there. It's gloomy, and we are seeing those temperatures in the 40s and low 50s, well below where we should be this time of year. So yeah, it feels like fall, but it feels like cold fall. It feels like temperatures in the 40s, because once you factor in the winds, it's a little breezy out there. This is what it feels like with the wind chill right now. Most of the area feels like the 40s. Some warmer areas to the west and south feel like the low 50s, but all in all, we're very cold. We're a bit gusty, and of course, we're pretty soggy with all of the much needed rain that is falling. So this is what we're dealing with over the next few days. This is that low pressure system that's right over Memphis. We just saw that on the live Viper, and what that's going to do is that's going to continue to swing its way to the northeast. And as it moves northeastward, we're going to see some clearing behind this. So by tomorrow morning, we're going to be left with a little bit of cloud cover, maybe some early morning drizzle. As we go through Thursday afternoon, though, we're going to start to clear up, and then that cloud cover moves on out by late Thursday night into early Friday morning. By Friday for Halloween, well, we're going to be looking sunnier, but we're going to stay pretty cold. Those temperatures won't rebound too much. So don't let the sunny skies during Friday afternoon fool you when you're dressing those kids up for those Halloween costumes. You want to make sure they're bundled up. Now, as far as rainfall totals, well, we're still expecting maybe an inch or two more, especially to the north where you're seeing those yellow circles. That's where we could see around 2 inches. Everywhere else, roughly between half an inch to an inch more rain as we go through the rest of the day today and into early tomorrow morning. Now, temperatures today, take a look. We're quite below average. Seasonal highs usually in the low 70s this time of year. Most of us are maxing out in the middle 50s. Some lucky areas like Eatonton might see 60 degrees, but we're going to be well below average. We stay below average as we move into the overnight hours, with those lows dropping into the middle 40s. Again, once that sun sets, you're really going to see those temperatures drop very quickly. Tomorrow afternoon, we stay pretty chilly out there. We're going to see those highs in the 50s again, but let's take a look at the next 7 days. How long is this chilly weather sticking around? Well, it's going to stick around at least through the weekend. Despite sunnier, dry conditions, we're going to be in the low 60s, middle 50s on Saturday. So through the weekend, you want to make sure you hold on to those sweaters. We're looking for more rain chances on Monday, but by the middle of next week, we could rebound to the low 70s, right around where we should be this time of year. But of course, that's still several days out. The back end of the forecast is always likely to change. Right now, what we're looking for is this chilly weekend.
I just think that it's one of those things where Georgia keeps us on our toes. We never know what to expect. Definitely Halloween will be something we can't be fooled with the sunshine.
Yeah.
But I am glad we will have sunshine for Halloween. That'll be a little nice.
Yeah,
so.
We'll have some sunshine out there. It's going to be very cold, especially once the sun sets. We know it gets very cold very quickly after that, so we're just going to continue to watch out for that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Lauren. I want to take a look outside real quick as we transition here, because I know that as we see these these gloomy skies continue. You can see some gloomy skies out on our camera there looking out over downtown and midtown Atlanta. One of the things we're going to keep in mind here as we transition is I want to get a check now back to our discussion of Hurricane Melissa, because as we started off a little bit earlier, right, we've been seeing how all of these weather patterns affect each other. And I actually want to bring in an expert here from Georgia Tech to talk a little bit more about this, Dr. Zachary Handlos, talking a little bit about the context of Hurricane Melissa, its strength, how it stacks up. And of course, I know this conversation, we have to discuss the Saffir-Simpson scale, Zach, and what that means. So first of all, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me. So with Hurricane Melissa, obviously, if you've been following the news closely, Hurricane Melissa has been an absolutely catastrophic hurricane making landfall originally in Jamaica with wind speeds maximized around as high as 185 miles an hour. And, again, my heart goes out to all those that have been impacted by the event in Jamaica, Eastern Cuba, and other surrounding countries. And this type of hurricane, it is possible for something like this to happen. I kind of think a lot about Hurricane Irma a few years ago. While it didn't make landfall with this sort of impact or intensity on the wind scale, it had winds that got close to this mark at one point when it was at its strongest point. With a Melissa type of situation, the concern this time of year is that sea surface temperature waters are still very warm. It formed in a location where upper level winds are really weak, and that kind of allows for a really strong hurricane to form without any sort of bit of its structure being destroyed by the jet stream or higher level winds. And then as a result, too, the storm moved really slowly. So not only do you have the classic things like strong winds, storm surge, but also significant inland flooding from rainfall totals that were forecast initially to be anywhere between 20, 30 inches or more in terms of precipitation. And then tying back to your Saffir-Simpson scale, so this is a scale that maybe you've heard of before without even realizing the name. So hurricanes are often rated on a scale of category 1 through 5, and this is all based on its maximum wind speed. So Hurricane Melissa was certainly a category 5 hurricane given the maximum sustained winds that were achieved with this event. But one thing that's interesting to note about the Saffir-Simpson scale is that it really primarily focuses on the wind speed. And while high winds can be certainly damaging and potentially catastrophic, there are other hazards that come with hurricanes too. Inland flooding, storm surge, and sometimes you can have tornadoes that also occur as well too. And the scale doesn't necessarily have language that links the wind speed to those other hazards. So that may be unclear for people who are less familiar with the scale.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a lot of really great points, right? Which is when we compare these hurricanes and when we just try to get an understanding of the damage that they can cause, surely wind speed is huge, right? You knock out power, you can damage infrastructure. But at the same time, you want to also take into account a storm may not have the strongest winds, but if it moves slowly and dumps a massive amount of rain, causes flooding, that can be devastating as well. So I also think, Dr. Handlos or Zach, as I know you signed off, so however you prefer to be called, let me know. But one of the things that I want to keep in mind here as well is so often I think that we get really into comparing hurricanes. We want to understand them, we want to classify them, and that can be helpful. But at the same time, understanding whether it was the strongest and most devastating doesn't necessarily always take into account the human element, right? Just because it has the strongest wind speeds or, breaks all these records, there have been storms that maybe haven't broken records and have arguably really hurt more people, their livelihoods. So important to take everything into consideration. When looking at Melissa, what are some of the concerns that you have or things that stand out to you from the scientific perspective of tracking a storm like this?
That's a great question. It was actually really well forecast, well tracked. The science we have pretty solidified now where hurricane track forecasts and intensity forecasts are really good. That's the good news. So we knew in advance that even though Melissa was forecast to be highly destructive, I think there was some time at least to help people become aware that this could be destructive. I think where the challenge comes in the communication side is not necessarily with the accuracy of forecasting, but has to do with how do you convince people to take events like this seriously? And the reality is that the majority of people, if they know a category 4 or 5 hurricane is in their path, often people will listen to emergency management and follow directions when it comes to evacuation, sheltering, etc. And you do feel for people who maybe do not have the opportunity or needs to be able to evacuate. But there are some people, and you see stories about this all the time with major hurricane landfalls, where people make a decision and say, well, I'm vacationing here, or I've ridden out a storm like this before. It wasn't so bad the last time. It's probably not going to be bad this time. And while yeah, maybe perhaps the probability of getting directly hit by the storm where you're located, maybe it's still fairly low. All it takes is one bad event or catastrophic event to completely change someone's life for not a good reason. And so, you know, I think the big challenge here is how do we communicate, you know, not only just the classic wind damage associated with the Saffir-Simpson scale, but how do people become aware and know how to respond to things like catastrophic flooding from a slow-moving hurricane? Again, storm surge, if you're staying on a coastline, you know, maybe touring a place like Jamaica, for example, how can you make sure that people are paying attention and not just spending time vacationing, but taking the warnings seriously, knowing that they could be in the path of danger? And then also when there's a chance of tornadoes too, noting that even with flooding, you have to kind of keep an eye out when you're wandering around outside with cleanup, that there's always a chance in the rain bands a tornado could come by and cause further damage.
Dr. Handlos, excellent points. I've so appreciated our conversation and being able to make sense of this. You know, I lived through Hurricane Katrina, and I know all too well the people who didn't necessarily think it would be as bad, and so being able to have that warning and just being able to use science and prediction to help save lives is always so important. So thanks so much for joining the conversation today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, guys, coming up, we're going to get a check on the federal interest rate. We know that the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates. I'm just now looking at breaking news, cutting interest rates by 1/4 point. So coming up, we're going to discuss this in depth, what this could mean for you and your wallet and why they made this decision. welcome back. I want to continue to keep you updated as to the federal interest cut that happened. We know that the federal interest, or rather the Federal Reserve, just cut interest rates by a quarter point. So this was a widely expected decision because of a weakening labor market as well as some other factors. I want to bring in Gerson Gibbs from Bellet Capital to discuss why this happened, what it means for you. Happening to the left here is Chairman Jerome Powell still addressing the media, members of the press. Gerson, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, why do you think the Federal Reserve made this decision? What were some of the key sticking points to cut interest rates by a quarter point? What does this mean?
Well, you know that they cut interest rates in September, and we currently are in a government shutdown. So I think a lot of the information was based on that. In addition to the government shutdown, there was a little bit of uptick in inflation in the prior meeting. So I think they used a lot of that prior information to make that determination. Again, in addition to the government shutdown and the economy slowing down, the jobs report, the information wasn't accessible. But in the prior reports, we noticed that there was a slowdown in jobs in the United States.
It makes sense. We know that this happened in a 10-2 vote. I'm looking at some notes here. Central Bank made this decision overnight, and they lowered it to a range of 3.75% to 4%. So that is where we stand now. With the government shutdown, Gerson, I understand that we may not be able to get some data from some key consumer price indexes that measure consumer spending. Some key data right now is unavailable because the shutdown isn't able to fund or to get this information. How do you think that affects the picture that we're looking at when it comes to the job market and inflation? Do you think that the central bank is able to have an accurate reading if it doesn't have that data? What does that mean?
I think the readings are pretty accurate. I think government shutdown, you know, you can automatically assume that the economy isn't doing tremendously if there's a government shutdown. In addition to that, as I mentioned, the prior numbers indicated that it was a requirement to drop interest rates. The job markets were low. Some of the key information was obtained back in September. And although we have a government shutdown, I think a lot of that information was still utilized and is still pretty relevant right now because it just occurred in September.
It makes a lot of sense. And I do want to shout out your background a little bit here, Gerson. You're the senior managing partner of Bellet Capital, but you've also overseen the regulation of some key financial institutions like JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo. So you have a lot of experience when it comes to financial regulation and taking a look at markets and this sort of thing. So I think my big question to you is, how does this affect the everyday person? If I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, interest rates dropped another quarter of a point, what does this mean for me? What does this change for the everyday man?
Well, interest rates are one of the most important factors, I believe, in the United States because it makes money cheaper to borrow. So everything's going to go down. Loans on a house, mortgages, everything's going to directly impact you. So I believe that it's a very important factor, and the lower they drop, the better it is for consumers because this is just trying to entice job growth and spending in the United States. So it's a very important factor that impacts everybody as a whole.
Gerson, last question here before I let you go. Future outlook here. Do we expect any more future rate cuts? Is this what we can expect through the end of the year? Any indications as to an outlook there?
Absolutely. I think there's going to be another cut in December. Because of the government shutdown, some of the data that's going to be received, we're looking and we're hoping that the government shutdown doesn't last too much longer. But if it tends to open up in November, they're probably going to receive additional information that's going to lead to another cut that was supposed to be had this quarter. So I believe there's going to be another cut in the very near future.
Gerson Gibbs, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your expertise. I so appreciate your time this afternoon and, of course, you sharing your insight with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, guys, speaking of finances, I do want to let you know about a new feature coming from Venmo. Venmo's going to roll out this new feature, I guess I should say, that's going to allow you to pay for your rent, mortgage, and retail payments. They're partnering with a major housing commerce platform, Built Rewards, and it's going to allow you to pay any rent, mortgage, or retail payments directly through the Venmo app starting next year. Now, users must be a part of both Venmo and Built to access this feature. Venmo says it's a first-of-its-kind collaboration, and the new perk's going to open the door for Venmo to access more than 45,000 merchants in Built Rewards network. It's going to allow 100 million Venmo users to pay at any shops in their neighborhood, so pretty significant if you use Venmo and you have money sticking around in your account that you don't know what to do with. You could use it to pay for rent, mortgage, or even retail, so we'll keep you updated there. In the meantime, I do want to continue to keep you updated on national and international news here. President Trump has signed a trade deal with South Korea. You're taking a live look at the White House right now. President Trump is in South Korea today, so you can see video here. This is the final leg of his 3-country tour through Asia. So far, it's been a productive trip for the president. His most consequential meeting, of course, we are all looking ahead to his face-to-face meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. That is expected to happen tomorrow morning. But let's go through it. President Trump sat down with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, and he finalized a trade deal discussing national security. He says they've come to a conclusion on a lot of important items. South Korean officials say that trade deal includes a 15% tariff on exports from the U.S., down from 25%, which is what the United States had previously. And terms for South Korea's $350 billion investment in the U.S. $150 billion of that is going to go into American shipbuilding. President Trump and President Lee also reportedly discussed South Korea acquiring nuclear-powered submarines. This is a topic that could come up when President Trump has a high-stakes meeting with the Chinese leader tomorrow. The ongoing trade war and improving tense relations between these two countries is going to be forefront of mind. President Trump has said he expects his meeting with President Xi Jinping to last several hours, so we'll continue to keep you updated there. Guys, in the meantime, coming up here, I want to keep you updated that we're going to get a check of a skilled labor job fair. Our Chris Rosenthal is going to take us there in just a little bit. And then I want to get you an update on a treat map just in time for Halloween. That's coming up. Okay, great. All right, stand by. Welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming along here with us on your Wednesday afternoon. I want to get out live to our Chris Rosenthal, who's checking out a skilled labor's job fair. And Chris, it's always so important to show what this can do for people who are considering a job in the skilled trades. Tell us where you're at and what's going on this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, it's very busy behind me. This started about 2:30, goes till about 4. I'm going to flip the camera around here. This is at West Georgia Technical College, and this is a skilled labor, this is a fair, job fair, all kinds of jobs, anything from welding to HVAC, mechanical, and I'm joined here by Alan Threadgill. He is with the school here, the School of Manufacturing, Transportation, and Trades. And tell me, about the trades. Why these sort of skilled jobs are in such demand right now?
Well, we've seen a huge growth, especially in this West Georgia region, and there's really been a mindset of everyone needs to go to a 4-year school. So we're trying to break that barrier to show that there's a lot of really amazing jobs, a lot of high-paying jobs that these students can come in and learn a skilled trade in the technical industry and be able to make anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000 starting out.
What sorts of jobs are we talking? What sorts of companies?
We've got tool and die, we've got manufacturing, electrical, linemen, we've got CDL, welding, diesel tech, and we've also got plumbing, and so there's just a lot of opportunities out there for these students.
And this is open to your students and also anybody from the public that may have these skills under their belt, huh?
That's right. We want this to be a real community affair. Definitely we want our students to be involved in any of that. We also want it to be a networking event that all our industry partners can relate to each other. We've got vendors out with different tool companies. And so, yeah, anybody's welcome to always come out.
Wonderful. That's Alan Threadgill with the West Georgia Technical College here, and quite a big turnout here so far. They'll be here till 4. This is in the Carrollton campus. So, yeah, lots of great jobs, lots of great paying jobs and potential out there for these skilled trades.
Chris, thanks so much for bringing this to us. Wonderful to hear it goes until 4. So if you're streaming along, you're interested, you can go out to West Georgia Tech College there in Carrollton and get a look. So Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much for your time and giving us a look live. Definitely looks busy. Great to see. Okay, guys, we're going to bring you back here because, as you know, Halloween is coming up, and that is on Friday. So if you're wanting to plan your Halloween trick-or-treating route, Nextdoor may be able to help you. I want to bring in Kelsey Grady, Head of Communications for Nextdoor. Kelsey, it is great to see you this afternoon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is really cool because, as I understand it, this is an interactive map that allows you, if you are a host house, I guess I should say, for Halloween, you can put yourself down and say, hey, come visit me. And then if you're a trick-or-treater and you're wanting to bounce around, you can kind of plan out your route.
Yeah, you described it so well. So Nextdoor is a neighborhood app, and every year, this is actually our 13th year, we bring the treat map to neighborhoods. And it's a really fun, interactive, digital way to plan a fun and safe Halloween. See where the best streets are to go trick-or-treating, where you might get the largest candy bars, see which houses have the best decorations. So it's just a really fun way to see your neighborhood come to life this Halloween season.
And as I understand it, there are some really cool ways that you can interact with this feature. So in case you have Nextdoor and you're wondering how to do this, I understand you can pin your home on the map to denote whether or not you're going to be handing out candy or decorating your home. You can explore the neighborhood map and create a custom route to hit your best stops. So tell me a little bit more about some of these features and how people might navigate them in the interface.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very easy to use. You log on to Nextdoor. At the bottom, it has a navigation bar. You click on Treat Map, and then there's a flow. If you want to pin yourself on the map, upload photos of your home, write about what you're giving out on Halloween. It's a great way to get the word out in your neighborhood. I know where I live, we all get very into Halloween, and I've used the map to actually pick which streets I'm going to take my 2 little kids trick-or-treating on. So we make sure that we're efficient and really really maximize the few hours we have this Friday night.
I love it. It's a really cool way to make sure that you're getting the most candy and the most decorations along your way. Have you heard from families that this has a safety feature as well and maybe helps them kind of keep safety forefront of mind? Is that also a concern or factor when you were designing this?
Absolutely. I mean, safety is number one when you think about planning Halloween. And we do polls every year to find out what matters most to our neighbors. And safety is always at the top of that list. And one of the things they're most concerned about is actually finding safe Halloween candy, or if they have a child with allergies, finding information about allergy-free houses. So you can denote that in the app if you're giving out allergy-free candy. So it really does help you make sure you're on a safe route on Halloween night, because you want to go to the streets where most people are participating, and the Treat Map helps you figure that out.
It makes a lot of sense. Kelsey, thank you so much. I love that idea of if you are making sure to have allergen-free candy or allergy-safe type items for kids, that you could say that in the app and make sure that everyone has a fun and safe Halloween. So thanks for pointing that out for us. We really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Kelsey. Thank you. And everybody, thanks so much for streaming. It's been a pleasure to have you. Very busy day of news as always. Our news is going to continue here at 3 o'clock. I'm Ariel Onstadt. It's been great to see you.
Okay. Hey, Dukes. I don't hear anything. I don't know. You have the time. I don't. Hey, Eric, Tom, can you hear me? I can't hear him. I cannot hear him. Do we want to get somebody to help troubleshoot?
We're not getting any levels from your Carrie. What He's in router 1. Yeah, router 1. She's 46. All right, try it again.
Hey, Eric, can you talk to us?
Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we
can.
Hello. Now we can.
Okay. I don't think we'll have my video or SOTs, but I can walk through what it is.
All right. We just want to see you. We don't need your video or your SOTs. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom on what is another rainy day in the metro Atlanta area. We're going to check in on the weather in just a second. I want to take you live now to the nation's capital for a live look where lawmakers continue to squabble over how to reopen the government. Day 29 of the government shutdown. Dominating the conversation today, the eventual end of SNAP benefits to those who need federal assistance when buying things like their groceries. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle in Washington blaming one another. There's an effort underway here in Atlanta to get those SNAP benefits to the people who need them. We're going to cover that ground in just a couple of minutes. Want to also take you live to the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta, where the trial for the man who threatened to shoot up Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is appearing before a judge this afternoon. That suspect charged with making terroristic threats by shooting up the airport. You'll remember back on October the 20th, it's a story that broke here while you were streaming with us live here in the 3 p.m. hour. We're going to check in on the court proceedings there. But first, we're going to begin with the weather and Hurricane Melissa. This is a look down at the Jamaica area where Melissa made landfall as a very powerful Category 5 hurricane. Also scraped across eastern Cuba as a Category 3 storm with damaging winds and flooding rain just hours after devastating Jamaica. As we mentioned, one of the most powerful hurricanes on record to strike that island. And as news began to trickle out of areas hit hard by the storm, reports of fatalities starting to climb from there. And according to reports, the mayor of a town in southern Haiti now saying that at least 25 people were killed there after a raging river broke its banks and flooded the area based on the hurricane's torrential rain, overflowing its banks and sending water flowing down into some communities which had devastating effects. We're going to check in with meteorologist Lauren Robinson on what Melissa is doing now, its potential impacts as it continues to churn, and of course our own rainy weather here in the metro Atlanta area. Meantime, back to Melissa and the local efforts from folks in the metro Atlanta area with interest in Jamaica, anxiously awaiting to hear from loved ones. Eric Perry there standing in front of the downtown Atlanta area. Eric, folks rode out the storm down in Jamaica. Still, there's a lot of people here in our area who want to know how those people are doing down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of connection between Metro Atlanta and those in Jamaica. Earlier today, I talked with a chef. He owns Flair Restaurant. It's in Fayetteville. His name is Andrain Cummings. He has family there in Jamaica. They're in the St. Catharines area. I'm told it's more southeastern Jamaica. While they were impacted, they didn't really see the brunt of it like some of the western portions. He says like the bread baskets, those farmers, they're the ones who really saw a lot of the impacts there. But what he's trying to do is to give back. Of course, you know, we've been talking with people here throughout the area. Last night, Annie Matt brought you a story of another chef who has ties there in Jamaica. Today, I'm bringing you this one, as all eyes are there and all they can do is sit by and wait. He says his mom, he was able to get a message back from her sometime this morning, but because trees are down, power lines are down, roofs are ripped apart there, a lot of them don't have power, so they can't charge their phone, so they can't let their loved ones who might be here in the United States know that they are okay and safe. And Tom, I know you mentioned Haiti, about 25 people there, of the rivers overflowing their banks, but we also are learning about 30 other people are suspected dead because of this Category 5 that hit Jamaica in the Caribbean, and unfortunately the death toll is continuing to rise. So here's how this particular chef is giving back. This Sunday, he's teaming up with the Jamaican artists there to have what they're calling a jam session there at this restaurant. Again, it's called Flair Restaurant in Fayetteville. They want people to come out all proceeds will go towards giving back in those on the island there. We've also reached out to the Jamaican consulate here in Atlanta to see if they have any authorized fundraisers or ways that you can give back. I know many people at home are wanting to do what they can and do their parts as well. I have emails out to the Red Cross as well. And whenever we find something, we'll be sure to put it on our website, fox5atlanta.com, as really all eyes are just watching down there as that hurricane now heading up toward the Bahamas now. Really just a powerful storm that was there yesterday.
Well, Eric, Lauren Robinson, meteorologist, Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Lauren Robinson and I are here standing there listening to you. It really tugs at your heartstrings because there is a sense of helplessness, at least in the immediate aftermath of a hurricane as powerful as Melissa. From what I understand, and Lauren can back this up, one of the most powerful ever recorded. So important for you to connect us with these local resources if folks have loved ones or family or whomever down there that they want to help. Eric, thanks. Here now with Lauren to talk about just the remnants of Melissa. Lauren, this hurricane came in, ripped a couple of these islands apart, and now seems to be moving out into the Atlantic.
It is. And, you know, the hardest part when you have islands like Jamaica is a lot of their infrastructure isn't really built to sustained winds as strong as what we saw with Melissa. But as we take a look at what we're dealing with here locally, we have this low pressure system that's churning right over Memphis. You can see that. And then the tail of it is what's reaching us here in North Georgia. As this continues to swing its way around, that's where we're going to see a little bit of clearing, but we're not done quite yet because we're going to continue to watch for this low pressure system to move its way toward the northeast. In the meantime, heavier bouts of rain that we saw in metro Atlanta earlier today are now starting to move their way toward areas like Athens through Toccoa and into western portions of the Carolinas. But we're not done just yet. We do still have some trailing showers that will be pushing through as that little arm or leg of the low pressure system continues to sweep around North Georgia. Now, as we continue to take a look at our temperatures, that along with the rain has made for quite a gloomy, cold couple of days. Right now, temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s, and we're not likely to get much warmer than this. So this is well below average for this time of year, almost 20 degrees below where we should be in the low 70s. Now, once you factor in those gusty winds, it feels like 49 degrees right now downtown. Areas to the north, it feels like the middle 40s. To the south, a tad bit warmer. It feels like the low 50s there. But all in all, we're still seeing exceedingly cold temperatures, wet, dreary, gloomy. It seems like the same weather pattern has kind of sat over us for the last few days. But as we take a look at what's coming ahead, that's the low pressure system that's making its way over Memphis and continuing to make those showers just kind of pop up across North Georgia. As that continues to move its way to the northeast, we're going to see some clearing behind it. So we're going to look for some maybe some cloud cover lingering by tomorrow morning. By tomorrow evening, that cloud cover moves on out. And as we go into Friday, Halloween, we're going to be sunny, but we're going to stay pretty cold. So don't let that sunshine fool you. You want to make sure you're dressing those kiddos up nice and warm because those temperatures will be in the 50s by trick-or-treat hours. Now, as we take a look at some estimated rainfall totals, what we're still looking at moving forward with these showers, well, mostly between half an inch to an inch. Those areas in yellow maybe could see up to 2 inches of rain, but we're really on the back edge of this as we're just waiting for things to continue to clear on out through the rest of the evening. Temperatures today, we're looking at the 50s. Overnight tonight, we're going to be in the middle 40s. And then tomorrow, another afternoon in the 50s, despite that slow clearing we're going to see. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the 7-day forecast. This is going to be the bigger distraction. Temperatures staying in the 50s and 60s through most of the 7-day forecast. Even through the weekend, as we get a bit more sunshine out there, we're going to stay chilly. So again, don't let that afternoon sunshine fool you on Halloween for Friday. We're going to be in the 50s by the time you're taking those kiddos out. We're looking for more rain showers to return to the forecast on Monday. We could possibly see a return to seasonal temperatures by the middle of next week, but with that still being several days out, I always say the back end of a 7-day forecast is likely to change.
Yeah, and trick-or-treating with coats, maybe it looked like sweatshirts,
hoodies, all of it.
Something. Did this rain that we had both on Monday and today take a bite out of the drought at all in our area? Because I know we needed rain.
Yeah, it definitely helped out our drought drought conditions, because we were seeing those drought conditions just intensify with as dry of an October as we've seen. But drought monitors are released weekly, so our next one will come out tomorrow. They're released every Thursday. So by tomorrow, we're going to see how much help some of this rain did. So, you know, fingers crossed that some of our extremely dry areas on our drought monitor are alleviated.
But it looks like we're done with the rain after today for at least the next few days.
We get to dry out for a little bit before our next round.
All right, Lauren, thanks. Want to take you back live now to Washington, D.C., where the struggle is on to end this government shutdown. This is the nation's capital, where it's also a cloudy day up there. The government shutdown is dragging on. Pressure to keep these SNAP benefits from lapsing is intensifying right now, with heated rhetoric from both sides of the aisle, both Democrats and Republicans blaming one another. The government shutdown entering its fourth week amid a standoff over the big issue here is health care funding. Democrats saying they're not going to agree to reopen the government unless a bill includes an extension of Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which are set to expire by the end of the year. They're arguing that failing to act before open enrollment in November could drive up premiums for millions of Americans, which calls into question the efficacy of Obamacare on its face. So maybe the efforts on behalf of lawmakers on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, will be to fix these Obamacare subsidies so that we don't stare down an issue like this every time the government shuts down. The threat of premiums increasing intensifies that problem. A conversation on how to extend SNAP benefits is happening here at the local level. Some state lawmakers are calling on Governor Kemp to provide state subsidies to do just that. Deidre Duke standing by live in front of the state capitol. Deidre, Kemp's office is really saying at this point their hands are tied here. They have no mechanism to extend these SNAP benefits for people.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. And right now we're talking about nearly 1.4 million Georgians who rely on SNAP benefits at this time, benefits that do stand to be cut off starting November 1st. We did hear from Democratic state lawmakers at the state capitol here. They held a news conference this morning. State Senator Nabila Islam Parks and former state senator now running for governor, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Jason Estevez. They were joined by a SNAP recipient, a single mother who says she's been on SNAP for about 6 months now, a single mother of one teenage son. She said she's actively looking for work after some unfortunate personal circumstances, and saying that it really has been a lifeline for her to help make ends meet as she has been looking for work this year. Now, as far as what they are asking, Democrats are asking for Governor Kemp to do, they want him to declare a state of emergency, and they want him to dip into the state's $14.6 billion in surplus funds and use some of that money to help those SNAP recipients here in Georgia during what is hoped will not be too extended of a period in which they will not be receiving those federal funds. We have been told by Senator Parks that governors in states like Virginia and Louisiana have taken similar action to ensure there's no disruption in services for those who receive money for food through the program. SNAP recipient Rachel Kent, who was here today, says at the end of the day, it's really American people who are suffering with the federal government, federal lawmakers at an impasse.
Food stamps are essential for many of the Americans, especially in Georgia, many of the Georgians. And people who have work, but they can't afford the mortgage and food. They can't, even people that can't find jobs can't afford things. They save the money for gas or the paying electricity or kids' band or whatever. Food is number one, and our governor needs to listen to the people. We are the people.
And as you said, Tom, at the top of our segment, the governor has said that his office has touched base with, talked to federal officials, federal government officials, and there just is no avenue for the state to, say, load money onto EBT cards, that sort of thing. So right now, the governor is saying that his hands are simply tied. The governor taking to X in recent days and urging lawmakers on Capitol Hill, particularly Democratic lawmakers, to vote to end this impasse that has been going on and continues just to impact just terribly, dire straits, we're told all this week, for all those who rely on services like SNAP benefits. So just everyone hoping for a quick resolution here, Tom.
Yeah, Deidre. First, it's the federal workers, folks like the air traffic controllers, TSA workers, now collecting zero-sum paychecks. So they're having problems feeding some of their families. Now it's people who are less fortunate who depend on these SNAP benefits, as you outlined in your reporting, who might soon go without their benefits. At some point, we're going to reach a crescendo on all this, and even though state lawmakers can't seem to do anything about it, perhaps it'll get the attention of federal lawmakers in Washington, D.C. to finally reach an agreement on this impasse. Deidre Duke standing by in front of a rainy state capitol for us this afternoon in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Deidre, thanks. We're also at the federal courthouse live in downtown Atlanta. Our reporter and cameras are there as we monitor the situation with the trial of this guy, Billy Joe Cagle, who threatened to shoot up Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport back on October the 20th. It was a dramatic story that unfolded here live in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. If you were with us here on Fox Local, today he made a preliminary court appearance. His defense attorneys telling the judge that Cagle has a history of mental health issues. So the challenge for them is to try to access his psychiatric records, his treatment from a facility where he was being treated in Birmingham, Alabama. There is Cagle on October the 20th walking into Hartsfield-Jackson, according to police. They confronted him after his family alerted authorities that he was armed with a semi-automatic rifle, which it was confirmed indeed he was. They found it in his vehicle. They confronted him, arrested him, and took him into custody. And before what Andre Dickens and the Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum said was almost certainly going to be a mass shooting event at the airport. Of course, that was averted based on great police work and that family calling authorities and saying, hey, heads up, we have a family member who is not mentally stable and is headed to the airport to carry out this attack. So that, of course, was thwarted, and Billy Joe Cagle appeared before a federal judge today in that preliminary hearing. So we're following that story live out of the federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta. We'll bring you updates as we get them. Well, it is the holiday season. After we get Halloween behind us here on Friday, you're going to start hearing Mariah Carey's song playing over and over again. I Don't Want a Lot for Christmas. That's going to start playing. Have you seen the social media thing where she's opening the door and saying, not yet? That usually happens after October 31st. There are certain traps that you can fall into as the holiday season gets underway and you start feeling the urge to go out and shop. These enticing credit card offers and Prime Amazon days. Don't fall into those traps. We're going to hear from an expert on how to not do just that as we continue here.
next person.
Yes, after this next person. We're back. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Appreciate you streaming with us today on our streaming app, or if you're watching at home on your TV, or if you're on the radio with us, 107.9 HD2 FM, our YouTube channel. We certainly appreciate you being with us today. You know, we are headed into the holiday season after Halloween on Friday. You're going to start soon hearing these ads screaming at you, things like buy now, pay later, Amazon Prime Day deals headed your way. The Federal Reserve just came out today, lowered interest rates 0.25 basis point. I want to bring in Mark Henry now. He's the founder and CEO of Alloy Wealth Management. Mark, thanks so much for being with us here today. Families are under a great deal of pressure right now. The unemployment report not looking great. There's a lot of financial stress out there. We talked yesterday about how people are reconciling saving for retirement while being house poor. So how do you bring all that into having a great holiday season, buying the gifts that you need for people, but doing it in a responsible way?
Yeah, it's really hard right now for a lot of people. You know, the Fed just cut rates today by 0.25 point. And that's because the economy is softening, jobs are harder. And so a lot of people are really going to struggle this year. Some struggle every year. And the reality is we get in this trap of giving and spending. And the best way, it sounds so crazy, but I start with a spending plan. It's so darn easy with a spending plan, meaning let's decide how much we can spend. Let's write it down, put it in our notes section on our phone, and then we're going to have to actually do it. We're going to stick to it. And I encourage families to get the kids involved. Tell them this is going to be the best Christmas ever, and here's how we're going to do it. Who we buying a gift for? How much is in the spending plan to do it? And I call it spending plan because I'm scared to death of that word budget. It just sounds so impoverishing. I want to be on a spending plan. We decide how much we can spend and where it's going to go, and we stick to it. Yeah, and we got to watch out for the traps.
And there are so many of them out there. I mean, it seems like every day in the mail I'm getting these 0% credit card offers. Right. But that can be a recipe for disaster to borrow money, even though you're like, oh, well, I don't have to pay for that for 12 or even 18 months. Right. You know, you spend a bunch of money and then you're like, oh, my God, I can't pay this off.
Right, and especially now with the advantages of what they're calling buy now, pay later. And this is really going to damage young people as well, because a lot of times they don't even have to have a credit check. So they just open the account for $200, let them buy now, pay later, and of course, interest-free, 90 days, all that kind of stuff. It seems so easy. It's the big easy button, but it's actually not. Imagine this. Now in 25, those buy now, pay laters will affect your credit. So you miss a payment on a $200 item. Let's say the payment was $22. You missed it simply because you forgot. And now it damaged your credit for 7 years? Are you kidding me? Whatever you were buying, it wasn't worth it. Run from these things. And also remember, if you don't pay it off, let's say in that example of 90 days, you go 91 days, most likely, almost always, the interest starts back to day one. So that item that was $200 now costs you $250 or $300. Can you imagine that? No. That's how it works.
So they backdate all of that interest, and at a really high rate, like over 20%.
Well over 20.
Which is crazy. Now, tell me, traditionally, Black Friday has been a big thing. Yeah. I mean, that was the day of the year to get out there and get the best deals of the year. But it seems like there's at least 4 or 5 Black Fridays a year now, with Amazon and other retailers rolling out big days in July and during the holidays. So you shouldn't put all of your eggs in the Black Friday basket.
Not at all. And remember, it's the biggest thing they've done now with social media and stuff is we get this idea that we can have this and you can, buy 2 and you get a 3rd one free. Well, are you saving money? No. If you needed 1 and you bought a 2nd one just to get the 3rd one for free, you did exactly what they wanted you to do. Think about this, 30% off. If it's not in your spending plan and it's not on the list, you did not save 30% on the item. You spent money that you weren't even planning on spending. You saved nothing. We have to really get out of this psychology of letting all the noise get us off of our goal of being financially free.
Mm-hmm. And you certainly were listening today with news that the Fed cut interest rates once again. That's not going to have any effect, however, or it might not, or maybe in a roundabout way on mortgage rates right now. So people are still paying through the teeth to live in their home, or they can't even afford to buy a home. And so they're reconciling, like, do I put money into my 401k? But wait a second, I can't because I'm making a $4,000 mortgage payment every month. So, you know, the economy is looking like it's doing pretty good. 401k balances are up. The stock market is up. And yet people are still having a hard time out there.
Yeah, that's because inflation is still up. And when we say inflation is up, you hear this a lot about how, oh, no, Mark, you're wrong. It's down. Yes, it's down from how high it was. But we have to remember, prices aren't down. They're just not going up quite as quickly. But prices are still out of control high because of 5 years of high inflation. So it's not gotten any easier for anybody. Just because the prices aren't going up quite as fast as they once were, they're still extremely high, and many families are still struggling. And the way to get out of it is not let the holiday season make us have even more regrets in January.
And finally, Mark, the huge no-no, speaking of spending over the holidays, is to touch that retirement savings. We want to leave that alone.
Well, that and your emergency fund. Remember, don't dip into the emergency fund if you have one set up, which is 3 to 6 months of savings, which is 3 to 6 months of your household expenses. You don't touch that for holiday shopping. No, because as soon as you lower that a little bit, what happens? The emergency you weren't planning on actually happened. So we just have to be careful.
Yeah, just some great and important financial advice, especially as we head into the holiday season, about how to be responsible and to save for whatever may come our way. Mark Henry, founder and CEO of Alloy Wealth Management. Mark, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, speaking of employment and jobs, there is a career fair for skilled labor. That is people who can do stuff usually with their hands. And that is an industry and a trade that is in high demand right now. So for students in West Georgia Tech out in Carrollton, our Chris Rosenthal is out there for this career event that is today through 4 p.m. today. Chris, tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this event started around 2:30 this afternoon, and I tell you what, it's been busy. There have been a lot of students, a lot of people showing up, job seekers. This isn't just for students. This is also for anybody in the community looking for skilled labor jobs. I'm going to flip the camera around, just kind of show you what we're talking about here. I mean, they have about 50 or so companies represented here with various jobs. We talk about skilled labor jobs. We're talking about anything from from welding to mechanical to electrical to plumbing. There really is quite a shortage of those jobs, just because so many people have gone to a 4-year school and people weren't really getting trained for these sort of hands-on skilled labor careers, and so that's why these jobs are so important, and these can be very well-paying jobs. These can be 6-figure jobs for people too. So, there's a bit of a stigma there, but there's plenty of great opportunities here. So, and I am joined by one of the students here. This is Darian Noble, and he's a student here at West Georgia Tech College. And tell me a little bit about your journey. You got a internship from one of these job fairs, huh?
That's right. And I got a scholarship through Metallica, and I graduate during the spring of next year, 2026.
Yeah, and you want to go into tell me a little bit about the career path that you're trying to take here.
Mostly motor controls. I'm trying to deal with anything dealing with electrical wiring and stuff like that, troubleshooting, schematics, blueprints, anything like that. And I'm just trying to further my education and learn more about the skill.
Now, you mentioned a scholarship from Metallica, and that's, you heard that right, Metallica, the band. They have a scholarship. They work with West Georgia Technical College to donate money for internships and for tools for these students. And Darian here is one of the recipients there. And what does that mean to you? How does that help you out here? There are 11 students. You're one of those.
It means a lot. It means a lot to me. I'm just the type of person to push myself. I'm always eager to learn more, not afraid to take on challenges, just basically just, into just learning more about, electrician, being an electrician and try to, better myself.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And this is sort of a mid-career change for you, huh?
Right. And this is something that I kind of, picked up on a couple of years ago. Just wanted to, know more about, being an electrician, and I just wanted to further my education in it. And I started a couple of years ago, back in 2024, and the next couple of months I'll be graduating.
Well, he'll be graduating. He's working with, got an internship with a local company. Thank you, Darian. He's got an internship with a local company. Hopefully, a bright future ahead in a career in electrical work here. But yeah, so like I said, about 50 companies or so out here. We got everything from, Georgia Power and Honda, and some other local companies, big companies, little companies, everything in between. So, just lots of opportunity. And, we're coming up, this goes till about 4, so if you can make it out, like I said, this isn't just for students, anybody in the community, but there will also be another one of these fairs in March as well.
Chris, you told me how Metallica is involved here providing scholarships. I bet a lot of these people don't even know who Metallica even is. How are they connected to this?
Yeah, Metallica has a charitable branch, and they recognize the need for skilled labor, and so they've donated money last year, and this year I believe it was about $50,000. That helped pay for these internships, helped pay for getting tools for these students, because just supplying your own tools can be very that can be very expensive, depending on whatever trade you're in. So they're going to officially announce those students at the end of November. It's 11 of them. Darian already knows he's one of them, but yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing.
We know how critical skilled labor is to our economy, and you've done these stories where big companies have offered not only those six-figure salaries, but to pay for their licensure for whatever field they're in. So events like this are critically important, and it looks like this one is very well attended. Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much for the perspective from there. Coming up, more on the expiration of these SNAP benefits and the efforts of Fulton County leaders to come up with an emergency plan. We're live on that story. You won't want to miss it as we continue here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour of Fox Local. Stay with us. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. So glad you're with us this afternoon on what's turned out to be a very busy afternoon of news. Want to take you back live to the nation's capital. Day 29 now of the government shutdown. Dominating the conversation today is the looming cut of these SNAP benefits. It's a subsidy that less fortunate families depend on just to even eat. So lawmakers in both D.C. and here in Atlanta are speaking out, as many federal employees are also missing out on their paychecks, with some civilian employees receiving no pay as of last week. So the looming expiration of these SNAP benefits means that people like Fulton County city leaders are trying to come up with an emergency plan. Our Eli Jordan is live with that effort. Eli, we heard the appeals to the governor's office, who, they're saying, our hands are kind of tied here, but there are some deeper local efforts going on.
That's right, Tom. Yeah, and right now I am at Hosea Helps, and they're known to help families in need since 1971, one of the biggest food banks and resources in Fulton County, one of the biggest and oldest. And the workers here, they are getting a little bit concerned because they know about these SNAP benefits ending. And also another person concerned is Rob Pitts, Fulton County Commissioner Chairman, and he had a press conference today, and he told us that 146,000 residents in 2023 relied on SNAP benefits, and in the second quarter of 2025, 76,000 households relied on SNAP benefits. That's 1 in 6 households in Fulton County relying on these benefits. And as I said, County Commissioner Rob Pitts is concerned, and he is asking the county manager to allocate funds, emergency funds, for many of the resources that the county uses for community services, such as the 9 food banks and other nutritional services that they provide to. And he's wanting to allocate $500,000 to the 9 different food banks and about $150,000 to other nutritional programs. And he's hoping to get up to $1 million allocated if SNAP benefits cease when they're expected to this Friday or after Friday at midnight. And they have a county commission meeting next Wednesday at 10 a.m. and to vote on this if they need to. And here's what he had to say. Here's some of what he had to say. Take a listen.
So without immediate action, those people,
it took a long time for them.
That 1 in 6 households in Fulton County will be in a crisis mode come Friday. That means then that if our government in Washington thinks that this shutdown doesn't have real consequences, then they have their heads in the sand, and in some cases, in my opinion, have lost their damn minds if they cannot see and feel what this means to citizens, in particular citizens here in Fulton County. And as chairman of this body, I am not going to sit idly by and not raise my voice to protect 1 in 6 households who depend on SNAP funds. Therefore, I'm asking our county manager and his staff to take immediate emergency action to prepare for this upcoming crisis, should it happen. And will ask my colleagues on the board to ratify any such actions that come forward from the manager.
And Tom, he plans, if this goes beyond November, he plans on speaking to the governor about tapping into some of our surplus, $10 billion surplus that we have to help cover December. But right now, I am with Hosea Helps employee, Corey Kimber. Corey, thank you very much for being here. How aware are you guys of this SNAP benefits happening, and have you guys seen any effects of it yet so far?
Yes, we are very aware. We have had 200 families come a week. It has recently increased over the last 2 weeks, where we done saw 240 people just this week alone. So it's been very, very a concern for not only ourselves and for the people. We're looking for all donations. We need all donations. We need all food donations immediately. It is a must that we get these donations here. These people are in need.
And I've heard that, over the past, this week alone, that, there's been cars already lined up when you get here. And you guys don't even open up until 11 a.m., correct?
Yes, cars are getting here as early as 7 o'clock and lining up at the gate to try to get in and get food. It has been very concerning.
And just tell me, if somebody, has been on SNAP, but they haven't utilized this resource here, and they find themselves needing to utilize this, what would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to go to forhosea.org and go. We're still signing people up for SNAP, even though it's supposed to be ending, but we still are signing people up for SNAP. But we need all donations. If we could get all donations immediately, that would help us out greatly.
So what is the reaction to, Commissioner Pitts, asking for these emergency funds for the county?
I think that is a very, very good thing. We need it. Everybody needs it. We need it like yesterday, because people are concerned about not having these SNAP benefits, and they're worried, and we are too.
Well, thank you very much, Corey.
Yes.
Corey Kimber of Hosea Helps. Tom, that's the situation. I mean, things are starting to get a little tense around here, around the county. This is starting to come to fruition. The SNAP benefits are looking like they are going to cease come Friday at midnight at the end of the month, and people are going to be left, what to do. Not sure, and unclear, and next week might be one heck of a week here at Hosea Helps and at many other food banks across the county and across the nation.
Well, it could very well become an emergency, and we hear the appeals from organizations like Hosea Helps throughout the year, and this is a great example of why those emergency stockpiles behind you are so critically important. But let's certainly hope that lawmakers in D.C. Heed the call and figure out this government shutdown so that people don't go without. But great effort on the part of Fulton County leaders and Hosea Helps to try to step up. Eli Jordan for us live this afternoon. Eli, thanks. On a lighter note, we are headed into Game 5 of the World Series. You saw all the drama unfold right here on Fox 5 last night as we take a live look out in Los Angeles. Boy, what a pretty picture that is. Game 5 tonight is going to be in L.A. The Blue Jays coming back last night to tie this thing up. Sarah Allegre has been there for all the action in Los Angeles. Sarah, this is staying interesting as this World Series continues to unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite the World Series. As you said, we're all just watching the drama unfold right here in our station. Last night was a game for the Blue Jays. How phenomenal it was, when they even out the series. Looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with his 2-run homer in the third. Then comes the 7th. The Jays had 4 more runs on top of that. They got the game, evening out the series, 6-2 Jays. But then as we head into tonight, Game 5, we're going to continue to watch this drama unfold. Now it's all about who's getting the edge here, who's going to have 3 games under their belt by the end of tonight before this series moves back up north, Tom, to Toronto.
Yeah, and tell me about the feeling there in the stadium last night. You've been telling me how awesome the Los Angeles fans are. They're so amped for yet another World Series win. This had to be hugely disappointing for them last night, but at the same time, sort of a renewed excitement that we can actually do this and pull it off.
Yeah, they're trying to regain that momentum from that incredible Game 3, but then it was a very long game, 18 innings. Some of the Jays' best guys were out too. And so as you head into Game 4, yeah, it was a disappointment for them, but I think we're going to see a lot of fans here later today with that same energy, that same enthusiasm as they go forward. And I do want to say there's a lot of light blue in the crowd as well with the Blue Jays looking forward. I mean, I talked to a couple of people from yesterday, and they even talked about the Dodgers fans, those Blue Jays fans, saying they're great people. It's great that they're sharing the stadium with us. And I just think the energy from both sides of the aisle here, from the Blue Jays, from the Dodgers, they're certainly bringing it. And we're watching a lot of good baseball when you're dealing with 2 of the best teams. I mean, what a game that we saw, Game 3. Great game for the Jays last night. We always love a comeback story.
Yeah, we really do. It's great for the fans. And I mean, it was hard to kind of game out which team was better going into this series. Certainly, everybody had their own opinions. But it turns out these 2 teams are pretty evenly matched, making for like a real nail-biter of a World Series.
And Tom, I think that's such a good point that you're making because, you know, early on, right before we were previewing game one, the big storyline that was kind of going around was this David and Goliath situation, looking at the Dodgers as Goliath, the Blue Jays as David. But we're maybe even seeing the script flip, some are saying, but I just think more than anything, you're seeing this even out. You're seeing two incredible teams, great athleticism on the field, lots of good arms that are running through, some good sluggers as well. And it's been very fun, I will say, Tom, to witness all of this in person.
All right, so Game 5, Sarah, same time, right? 5 p.m. local time out in Los Angeles, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Fox. Going to be some amazing action. Sarah Allegre, who's been chronicling all of it for us in L.A. Sarah, thanks. As we continue here after the break, you've been hearing about the devastation after Hurricane Melissa ripped through parts of Jamaica and all the concern and the effort here on the part of local residents to try to connect with family members down there. Well, there's an organization that is going to try to send critical medical supplies down their way because the island is absolutely crippled right now. We're going to tell you about that effort. We're going to be joined by the CEO, the president and CEO of that operation when we come back. Welcome back as we stream with you during the 3 p.m. hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom on this wet Wednesday afternoon. Boy, the rain has been coming down seemingly all day today on what is another cold, rainy day outside. Looks like we're going to get out of this weather pattern. I want to take you live outside to downtown Atlanta, where the rain is falling in earnest this afternoon. Not only the rain, but we're kind of souped in today with a layer of fog hanging over the city. You know, this system started with us back on Monday when we had that cold rain falling all day long. It was falling robustly in the morning, then kind of tapered off in the afternoon, left us with a cloudy Tuesday, for only the rain to return once again on our Wednesday afternoon. So meteorologist Lauren Robinson, who joined us just a couple of minutes ago, said that this rain is going to pull on out of here for our Thursday. Maybe cloudy in the morning, but it's going to give way to sunny skies later in the afternoon. But don't be fooled, because cooler temperatures are behind this front that's bringing us the rain. So what does that mean for your trick-or-treaters on Friday in the evening? It's going to be cold out there once again, so make sure that they are bundled up on Friday evening, because it's going to be chilly outside. No rain, of course, but chilly. We needed the rain. We're in a rain deficit. The drought alerts have been up. We're going to get another drought report tomorrow to figure out if the rain that happened on Monday and the rain that happened today kind of bit into that drought at all. We sure hope it did. As we turn the page and take you live to the New York Stock Exchange, where there's a lot of chatter after the Fed decided to lower interest rates 0.25 percentage point today, opting for its second interest rate cut this year in an effort to jumpstart the struggling labor market, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the stream here. It was a highly anticipated move for the Fed to deliver the lower interest rates. President Trump has been hammering the Fed, calling Fed Chairman Jerome Powell too late when it comes to lowering interest rates. He said a lot of the other global economies have already done that. Ours has lagged behind, but they've done this now, the Federal Reserve, 2 times in a row. So we're looking at a full 0.5 percentage basis point if you add up the 2 lowerings of interest rate that have happened over the past few months. The Fed paying close attention to not only the labor market, but to inflation rates, which have remained stubbornly high over the past several months. The effort to bring down everyday items, things like grocery prices. Gas has been pretty reasonable out there, all things considered. Fuel just hovering above $2 a gallon right now here in Georgia. So that's been something manageable. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which was up over 200 points earlier in the day on news that President Trump is going to meet with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping tomorrow in South Korea to talk trade and hopefully arrive at some sort of agreement between the world's 2 largest economies, sent the Dow up over 200 points, but not so much when you consider an acknowledgement by the Federal Reserve Bank that the labor market is having a tough time. So we're going to continue to watch that, the government shutdown, and whether these SNAP benefits are going to run out over the weekend, as we leave you with a live look at Washington, D.C. Our news is going to continue here in the 4 p.m. hour. Thanks so much for joining us on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom.
Fox 5 News at 4 starts right now.
The man accused of plotting an attack at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport goes to federal court. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor was there for that hearing and has the latest on the case. And Hurricane Melissa heads to the Bahamas after slamming into Jamaica and Cuba. We hear from a man who still is waiting to hear from his family members on the island. A big day in the Tiffany Foster murder case trial going on in Coweta County. That's where Foster's ex-fiance as well as neighbor are on trial, charged with her murder and concealing her death. But first, we begin with the cold and rainy midweek. Some much-needed rain showers move through North Georgia for most of the afternoon. The rain, though, making for slippery conditions during your evening commute. Want to show you what things are looking like live outside here on our Georgia Power camera. We're socked in with all this gray cloud cover and rain. Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacy joining us from the Weather Center now. We've been stacking up multiple days of rainy events now.
It seems like we can't break out this pattern, but there are signs of changes that are coming, but right now you can't see through the clouds to even find those changes that will be in the forecast as we go through the next 24-hour period, because we're still dealing with low-hanging clouds, and from those clouds are a few pockets of drizzle. Let's turn to Fox 5 Live Opera Radar, where you can see that there are some patches of green, but by and large, most of today's rain has come to an end, with the exception of Dunwoody up 400 into Alpharetta. You're still dealing with some light showers. The same for northern Henry County, getting over into Rockdale as well, and southeastern DeKalb County. Temperatures right now holding at 50 degrees in downtown, 55 in Dunwoody, 50 there in Douglasville, 49 in Dallas. The mercury has barely moved all day long, and that is the same everywhere you go. The warmer temperatures down south there in Eaton coming in at 55 degrees. The same for LaGrange, 56 there in Rome, where you're still getting a shower or two passing along the county lines. As you make your way up 400, once again, we're watching a string of showers there, but most of the fanfare in terms of wet weather has come to an end. Two areas of low pressure kind of teamed up to spin around us today. They're going to continue to push through, and so we could still get a light shower or two as we go into the post-sunset period, but overall the rain chances are starting to slide south. So let's go ahead and time out their energy. It's now 6 o'clock, and you can see the majority of the wet weather is hanging out to the east of the metro area, but there are a few straggling showers on either side of I-75. But even though the rain is exiting, the clouds are going to stick around, and the temperature is about to drop. I'm tracking the big downfall of the numbers in my complete Fox 5 Storm Team forecast. Christine?
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba as a Category 3 storm, just one day after slamming Jamaica as a Category 5. Cuban authorities saying about 735,000 people are seeking shelter after being forced to evacuate. Early damage reports include collapsed houses, blocked mountain roads, and blown off roofs. Melissa now ranks among the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. So far, no casualties have been reported in Cuba, but Melissa was expected to drop as much as 20 inches of rain in parts of eastern Cuba. Melissa has since been downgraded to a Category 2. Cleanup efforts are underway in Jamaica. New video shows Jamaican police working to clear some other damage caused by the storm. Footage posted by the Jamaica Constabulary Force shows police in Kingston using saws and axes to clear some of the fallen trees in the driveway at police headquarters. Authorities say it's all hands on deck as the recovery phase begins. Now, Melissa also brought landslides and floods to Jamaica. It destroyed buildings and toppled roofs. More than 500,000 people are without power there, and communication is difficult. Fox 5's Eric Perry talked with one man whose family is on the island. He's waiting to hear more. Eric joins us live with that man's story. Eric?
Yeah, Christine, hello to you, Andrew Cummings. He owns a very popular Jamaican restaurant. It's in Fayetteville, and he's like so many others across metro Atlanta. They have roots and family. They're in Jamaica. They're watching helplessly, but while they're doing that, they're also trying to figure out what they can do to help.
Jamaica means a lot to me. It's a very vibrant country. The culture, the food, everything.
Andrean Cummings owns the Flair restaurant. It's in Fayetteville, bringing the taste and smells of his home country to those in metro Atlanta. With these videos sent to him from family members, those who hunkered down while powerful Hurricane Melissa swept through the country, well, it breaks his heart.
It impacted, I think it was the west side, St. Elizabeth, known as the breadbasket of Jamaica. This is where most of the farmers are, and you will get all the produce, so I know that's a huge impact.
Cummings says fallen trees, power poles, and roofs missing makes it difficult for those on the island. His family is from St. Catharines, which didn't get the worst of the storm's wrath, but definitely weren't untouched.
Even with power lines down now, it's hard to communicate because I've been trying to reach my mom since this morning, and there is no power in the neighborhood, so she's unable to charge her phone.
He, like so many others across Metro Atlanta, are trying to figure out how they can help. That's why he, along with his friend and musical artist Shatoya, they're planning a benefit at his restaurant Sunday. All proceeds will be given to those on the island.
Our country is a very praying country. Our national anthem is a prayer. So I know that we're going to bounce back.
Cummings wants others to do the same.
However you could give back to Jamaica to rebuild for a speedy recovery of the nation, I would just advise you to do that and help bring back Jamaica.
Yeah, there are so many organizations across Metro Atlanta that are mobilizing right now, getting resources together to send down to Jamaica. We'll put together a full list for you and put it on our website, fox5atlanta.com. We'll also have more information about that benefit taking place at his restaurant this Sunday on our website as well. In Atlanta, I'm Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.
I'm sure any help is much appreciated from the people of Jamaica. Eric, thanks so much. Just in the last hour, we're getting updates in the case against the man accused of threatening to shoot up Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We now know he will remain in jail for the time being. Angelique Proctor is in Atlanta with the latest on the case. Angelique?
Good afternoon, Christine. We are just getting out of federal court, and you are correct. Billy Cagle will remain in federal custody. Now, he had 3 lawyers who argued that what happened last Monday at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport was more of a mental health crisis and a malicious crime. But in the end, the judge did not buy that. He said that he thought the government met its burden and that the risk of releasing him was just too high. Now, Cagle faces 3 federal counts of planning to shoot up and harm as many people as possible at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. It was Cagle's family members who alerted Cartersville police, and they in turn notified Atlanta police, and a tragedy was averted. Now, officers who were on the lookout for Cagle arrested him within minutes of his arrival at the airport. We also learned today that Cagle's wife is in the process of divorcing him. Now, during this afternoon's detention hearing, Cagle's attorneys asked for house arrest on an ankle monitor, saying that a family member would be with him at all times until a bed could be found at a mental health facility. But Judge John Larkin III said he just was not willing to take that risk. We will have much more on this developing story tonight at 5. Reporting live from downtown, Angelique Proctor, Fox 5 News.
Okay, Angelique, thank you so much. We're waiting to learn more about the victim in a deadly shooting in northwest Atlanta. Police were called to the 2500 block of Center Street just before 9 this morning. When they arrived, they found a woman inside a car with a gunshot wound. Medics rushed her to the hospital where she died. Police have not identified the victim or the shooter. President Trump is in South Korea today, the final leg of his 3-country tour through Asia, and we're told it's been a productive trip so far. He had to sit down with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, where the two discussed a new trade deal, which will see a 15% tariff on exports, down from 25%. President Trump and President Lee also reportedly discussed South Korea acquiring nuclear-powered submarines. That's a topic that could come up when Trump has a high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping Thursday.
We've been talking a lot over the last month, and I think we're going to have something that's going to be very, very satisfactory to China and to us.
The ongoing trade war and tense relations between the two countries will be top of the agenda. President Trump says he expects his meeting with Xi to last several hours. All right, still ahead on Fox 5 News at 4, closing arguments set for tomorrow in the case of the man accused in the murder and disappearance of Tiffany Foster. We have the latest development as both sides rested their case today. And millions of American families at risk of losing federal food assistance. We introduce you to one family as we learn more about the toll it will take on them. And tonight, the World Series continues right here on Fox 5. Who will take the lead as the Blue Jays tied up the series with a 6-2 win over the Dodgers last night? Speaking of games, we're giving you a chance to win tickets to the November 15th football showdown between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns. To enter, go to fox5atlanta.com/dogs. That's DAWGS. Our winner gets 2 tickets plus pre-game hospitality, signed merchandise, and lodging. Be sure to enter by November 9th for your chance to win. We'll be right back. right, time now to talk weather. Back with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. And man, those umbrellas have come in handy this week.
If you didn't have them, you were lost out there and hustling, trying to get inside to some warmth and also some dry air, because outside has been quite gross and raw, all those things. And I've been talking to people outside, and I don't think anybody likes it.
No
That's
fans,
the general consensus. If I've got a fan out there, let me know of this, what it's feeling more like January or December. Two areas of low pressure have teamed up to give us kind of a double batch of energy today that brought us rain showers in the morning, and then another little lobe across the mid-south is going to drift down, trying to shoot in some more showers for the late evening. But by and large, your rain chances are going down. I think we got a